everyone. My name is Amber Lyn. I'm an author, community director for Pathway to Hope, online supportive community for women. I'm here today with Patrick Doyle. He is a best-selling author, a counselor, and an expert in emotional and spiritual abuse. So welcome today.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So Patrick, what is a narcissistic preacher?
Well, this is something we've gotten a lot of feedback from because we did the narcissistic pastor, right? But a lot of people draw a distinction, actually. And if you're heavy into the church world, you would know this is true. There's a difference between a preacher and a pastor. All preachers are pastors, but not all pastors are preachers. So there is a difference between somebody who's a preacher, fiery, entertaining, intense, amazing on stage. And whereas a pastor has more of a connotation of caring, like going to help the person, going to be in the congregation, there's a little bit of a nuance there. And something that people don't understand about the church world is that terms have very different meanings. Like if you ask a Pentecostal what saved means, that's very different than when you ask a Presbyterian
Mm.
or a Catholic. They're all very different. So if you don't understand that, you can get very confused, which is why I'm so grateful that the community is bringing this stuff up. Like, what is a narcissistic preacher? And so one of the things that I've seen in, my decades long history with the church, I've seen a lot of preachers and I've seen a lot of pastors and I've been one. And I think the difference that I would say a preacher is that a preacher is an eloquent or a effective speaker. They're always somebody who's going to captivate the audience in whatever way that is. Okay. It could be a Pentecostal version, it could be a Baptist version, it could be various versions, but that preacher is going to captivate the audience. And he's going to be very confident and he's going to have a lot to say and you're going to feel like he knows exactly what he's saying and he's right all the time. So in that sense, when a preacher is narcissistic, it fits the motif. All the things that you need to be a great preacher, you also need to have to be a narcissist, which is I'm right, you're wrong, which is I'm confident and it doesn't matter the facts. And what I say is true and it doesn't matter what you think. Now, that leads me to the next question, which is why would that be popular? And the
That's a good,
truth is, huh?
that's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah. And the truth is that there is a sense in which humans want to trust someone. That's a need we have to feel safe, to feel cared for, and to be guided in a way that's healthy and good. But I don't think that anyone who has high levels of admiration coupled with being unapproachable and always right leads to anything good. Human nature doesn't allow it. It doesn't involve humility. It's more about being right than it is about caring. It's more about being perceived a certain way than it is about caring. And this is one of the things that you see. Now, are there men that preach well and that are not narcissistic? Yes. But there is a much higher percentage of people, particularly on the famous side, when they're preachers that are harmful. And we don't have to look very far to go through the laundry list of very effective preachers who have been found out to be not who they say they are.
Okay. So some of the common behaviors I'm hearing you say is one, they are always right.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, yeah, they kind of like set presence, like they draw you in a lot of times. Other behaviors that are common, like with
Mm-hmm.
narcissistic preachers.
Well, they are charismatic. They make people want to be around them because of what they do on the stage, which is very different than who they are outside of the stage. I have talked to lots of people and I've been involved in a lot of church situations where the preacher has been called on the carpet behind the scenes. No one knows. I'm the one that's behind the scenes. and they're telling all these things that he's doing in private. And one of the things that I've heard repeatedly, and this is part of why I'm talking about this, is that one of the things that people say is, well, you can't say anything negative about him because it would hurt the message. It would hurt Christ. And I'm like, no, if this guy is duplicitous, that is what is hurting the cause. That is what's hurting the gospel. That is what's hurting Christ, not the fact that he's an effective speaker. You have to be both. You have to be an effective speaker and commensurate and connected to what you're saying. And I've said this before, but I've been involved in a lot of these situations. I've never confronted one of these leaders who is clearly out of line based on the facts that have been presented, who actually repented. They just move on to the next thing. They start something new. They find another place. And if you look at religious history, going way back, there is a clear line that this has been going on for centuries, where people protect the harmer rather than the people that are harmed. And this is why I'm talking about it, because if we as a group of people, the people in the church, don't start getting honest, it just provides this with more opportunity.
So almost like, would you say facilitates a bit of a culture?
Yes, it does. Because listen, research shows, and if you look around for very long, you'll know this, humans are designed to be in a group. It takes very strong strength to stand out of the group, and it goes against human nature to be outside of the group. So in churches, you have a very strong sense of compliance. You have to comply with what the culture, and that's all very different from church to church to church, from denomination to denomination to denomination. They're all different, but the pressure for compliance is very real. And that pressure for compliance is what sets congregations up for harm from an out of control leader.
Would it possibly attract other narcissists though too?
100%, because what they realize is they have an ability to do harm with no repercussions. And even worse, they can feel noble and self-righteous in the process of harming other people.
Wow.
And I've been behind the scenes in the closed door meetings with these men.
Yeah, same actually.
And it's astonishing to me,
Mm.
because I've said this many times. I believe that spiritual denial is by far the worst, because they are justifying their harmful behavior and saying God is behind them. So the person that's being harmed by that spiritual denial is then doubly confused because they're being harmed and they know it, but then they're told that they're against God if they don't believe it. So that's a double harm, because now God's against me, when really if we looked at the behavior, it's abundantly clear whose side God is on. He's not on the side of duplicity and lying. So, but it goes on all the time. And it's a deep concern of mine, because how many people are harmed? And I have been for 30 years, I say this many times, but I don't think you have the right to point out the dirt if you're not willing to wash the feet. And I've been washing the feet of the church, if you will, for 30 plus years. And so I feel like I have every right to speak out against this because I've been the one doing it. It's not some off, ivory tower kind of thing. I've seen the real harm that's done to many thousands of people by these very unethical, very charming preachers.
Well, it's sad. It's like they're abusing their power as a leader. And then
Yes,
off of that, they're justifying it, saying that God's on their side. I mean, it's just such
correct.
a double, triple like cuts there.
Yes.
That's a hard thing to, I think, wrap your mind around. And it can be very confusing, I imagine, too. Yeah.
Most people don't believe that somebody that spiritual could be that duplicitous.
Yeah.
Because what you see is this great spiritual man. But the truth is, that's the mirage. The real person is very harmful.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
what we're gonna base our understanding of the world on is the behavior, not
Yeah.
the facade.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
If you found this helpful, we created a free resource for you in the description below. Feel free to click on that. And until next time, thank you.
See ya.
Bye.